The world is changing much faster than we could ever envisage. With the advancement of technology, consumer behavior has been radically changed and altered beyond our imagination. Now, beliefs, cultural taboos, and things that our parents taught us when we were a child about how not to trust strangers or not to get into a random person's car is no longer true today. So, peer-to-peer marketplaces, collaborative consumption, sharing economy, moving from a centralized market like accommodation, taxis, financial services, and car rental to a decentralized market, taking away the power and stronghold of profit-driven institutions into the hand of normal citizens like you and me. Now this is an outline of the sharing universe of what is out there in terms of services and industry in the sharing economy. A late 2014 report by PwC predicts that in 6 years' time, the sharing economy could worth as much as $335 billion. Now, to put things into perspective, that's pretty much equivalent to the entire GDP of a sizable nation like, say, Malaysia, Singapore, or even Hong Kong. Now, sharing economy yields a new lease of life to underutilized assets and resources in the past where it's just left there without being used. Not only does it bring about a whole new level of convenience and access, but it also has a disruptive pricing on a range of different services. Now, it also establishes a new way for people to earn income through the gig economy, so on. Now, I, for one, have stayed at more than 10 Airbnb accommodations in 5 different countries, taken countless Grab rides, as well as sharing my car with 20 different people, strangers whom I've never met. Well, I do have to thank them for contributing to my year-end holidays, so thank you very much if you're listening to this program. And today, I'm actually going to talk about one of the core areas of sharing economy, which is a peer-to-peer car sharing. The definition is actually very simple, peer-to-peer. If I'm not using my car, you could be driving it. Or if your car suits the needs of mine, I could be driving it too. Peer-to-peer car sharing aims at addressing a growing problem of car overpopulation. Now the thing is, it took humanity thousands of years to reach 1 billion in population. But in just over 100 years, we have already witnessed 1 billion cars on the road. Well, granted that cars don't need to go through the process of dating, getting married, waiting 9 months to pop up a new car, but that's beside the point. My point is, the pace of new cars populating the world is unsustainable. Now, as it is, most major cities' traffic is horrendous. 2 years ago, I was in Jakarta for a conference. I decided to stay at a hotel that was situated 5 kilometers away from the hotel wedding. Startup founders, try and find every means and ways to save a couple of dollars here and there. Now, that 5 km ride took me 1 hour. That wasn't the best part. The best part was the Grab driver told me, hey, you know what? You're in luck. Today, the traffic is actually not that bad. I was like, wow. So imagine if we add on tens of millions of new cars to the road every year, what would that happen? And if you think that cities are dominated by skyscrapers and people, think again. Many studies have already indicated that most major cities dedicates 1/3 of their land space to car parks. Now, do we want more car parks to be built? When these are built, it takes the expense of recreational parks or trees that we crave for. And of course, cars also contribute to one of the biggest contributor of greenhouse gas emission. Land transportation contributes to 16% of all CO2 emission globally. So imagine this, you don't own a car, and say this weekend next weekend, you and some friends are looking to go on a road trip. Now, you know some of your neighbors are not driving their car. Wouldn't it be nice that you could borrow their car, compensate them a little bit for their loss of use, and use that car whenever you need it? Or you have just landed in a brand new city for your next holiday adventure. You don't know if you need a car or not, but you know that if there's a car sharing platform, you will have a reliable supply of cars. Doesn't matter where you are, it's just around the corner and you can rent it whenever you want. Now, peer-to-peer car sharing, one of the things that people tend to underestimate is the total cost of car ownership. Now, do you know that the moment you drive your car off the showroom with your brand new shining set of wheels, your car would have lost up to 10% of its value. That's pretty crazy, right? And it gets even crazier. By year 3, your car would have lost 50% of its value. Most cars. Now, if you take into consideration that you have to pay your monthly repayments that usually attracts 3 to 4% of interest rates, your annual car registration, insurance, regular repairs and maintenance, you are actually contributing 15 to 20% of your disposable income for the next 5 to 7 years, servicing this car that you may or may not be driving. Now, what peer-to-peer car sharing does is break you away from this financial burden. It allows you the freedom to pay for your drive only when you need it. So it could be a day, a week, or even months. Now, what that means is that you can save all this money and use it for all the other traveling that you want to go to. Now, the peer-to-peer car sharing also allows you to pick up your car at odd hours, 10 p.m., 7 a.m., or even at the university, or better still, have the car delivered to you at your doorstep. And because most of these cars belong to individuals, the rates are meant to compensate them for their loss of use, wear and tear. You will find that car sharing cars are much cheaper than traditional car rental companies, whereby they have to have a very heavy overhead as well as high capital expenditure to purchase and store their cars. Now, I live in an area where there are about 3 hypermarkets within driving distance. Typically, I would probably make a trip, 3 or 4 trips to one of these hypermarkets to replenish my grocery needs. If you think about it, that's pretty inefficient. Now, if you don't own a car, you still need your groceries. With a car sharing platform, you may be renting a car from your neighbor for a couple of hours, for instance. And you may hit the hypermarket maybe once a week. Now, with that example, you are taking 2 to 3 trips off the road already. If you times that with thousands of different people, thousands of different occurrences, you would have taken a huge chunk of cars off the road. Think about what effect that has on easing traffic congestion, as well as reducing greenhouse gas emission. Simply because we tend to drive smarter if we don't own a car. Now, the car sharing community is a win for everyone within the ecosystem. So if you're a car owner, think of it as an investment. Okay, so assuming you want to generate a passive income, what are your options? Sure, you can invest in equity or property, of which both requires you to have capital as well as knowledge and experience in investment. Or you can be a Grab driver, which still requires you to dedicate your time and effort, 30 to 40 hours a week, driving people around. But what a car sharing community does, it allows you to place your depreciating asset, which is your car, onto the platform, and allows it to generate money for you whilst you work and do whatever you need to in your normal daily life. Now, if I've learned anything over the last 2 years running a car sharing startup, is that peer-to-peer marketplaces relies heavily on what we call a tipping point, a sociological change of behavior, whereby a critical mass of adoption will tip something that was previously inconceivable or unimaginable to something that becomes a norm and is part of our everyday life. Every day, millions of people put their faith, onto a stranger that would safely take them from point A to point B on ride-sharing platforms like Grab, Uber, and Didi. Every night, more than 2 million people sleep on a bed of a home that they have never met and will never encounter the owner of on Airbnb. For that, my aim is to tip the point for car ownership. I envisage and see a world where sharing your cars become a second nature to everyone who owns a car that they don't use often enough. And with that, it would drastically reduce the need for people to actually purchase or get a new car and reduce traffic as required. Thank you.